This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and you are listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, a rock and roll show all about pets, people, and pop culture. I'm live from Las Vegas, and today I'm talking about deaf dogs, leashes, and other great stuff for our pets. So stay right there.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and welcome to the show. Got a great show for you planned today. Lots of information, lots of news that's been happening in the pet world. With me today is my husband, James Dorigo.
Also known as the co-host.
He's the co-host, and he's also my engineer, which is wonderful.
And the engineer.
And in studio, we have Mr. Twix.
The executive producer.
We have Miss Thornton.
The co-executive producer.
And Miss Galaxy.
And the other executive producer.
And she's in heaven. So that's our lineup for today. We have a lot of people. I always say dogs are the best people I know. So we have a lot of people in studio today. And I think people will relate to that. Recently, I've always said my pet sitter, but recently I've just been saying my babysitter for my dogs.
Why? I've never known.
I've just started doing it. It just makes it simple.
Are you going to morph into a cat lady eventually?
No, because you're allergic to cats, Mr. Jim.
Well, I was. I don't think I am anymore.
I don't think you are. It's funny.
I may have evolved.
It's funny. I was interviewed last week on a show, and Jim came with me, and they had cats, and you seem to be fine. Would you not say?
Yeah, I think maybe I've immuned myself.
You've immuned. Well, maybe you've grown out of it.
I've immunityed myself. I've got immunity.
Well, if you're new to the show, I'm so glad you're here. And if you're one of our regular listeners, thank you so much for tuning in every single week. Or if you actually just download the podcast, thank you for that also. It's wonderful. We have a worldwide listenership, and it's exciting when people reach out and they say, oh, we're in the Netherlands. Oh, we're in Spain. We're in Australia. And it's just really, really exciting that we are spreading the word. I think we're in our fifth year. I can't even remember.
On radio?
Yeah, fourth year.
Fourth year.
Mm-hmm. I'm not one that keeps track of time. The only thing I really know are things like my birthday, which is coming up next week, anniversaries, Christmas, key dates. Other than that, I don't remember many things. It's not that important to me. So
what do you want for your birthday?
Oh, I've no idea. Usually Jim says to me, do you want fashion or technology? Because I love both. And might be leaning towards technology this time because it's always nice to get new equipment for the studio. I get very excited about that.
I'm not sure what you're interested in.
Well, I know I need some new lighting for when we do our live stuff. So who knows? I can get a whole big list. Oh, Jim, I think something just happened to my poor iPad. Can I take yours from you, please?
Well, for what reason?
Because I don't know.
Is it plugged in?
It is. I don't know what happened there. That was very, very strange indeed. Well, if you are new to the show and you want to connect with us in other ways, other than listening, which to me is the best thing that you can possibly do, you can find us on all manner of social media platforms. Do you want to tell everybody where you can find us, Jim?
You can find us at VegasRockDog.com. You can find us on Spreaker. You can find us on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter,
there you go.
Facebook.
Well done, well done, well done. And we have a blog. Our blog is
therockandrolldog.com.
That's right. That's our blog.
You're surprised, aren't you?
I am, actually.
Yeah. You did that to test me. You wanted to see if I would have a failure on the radio.
Where else can people listen to the show, Jim?
They can listen on their phones, on their mobile devices.
Yeah, but where? Where do they go? What do they do?
They go to Spreaker.
They go to iTunes.
They can go to iTunes. They can go to
iHeartRadio,
iTunes,
Spoke, which is the new app from SiriusXM.
I don't know about Spoke, but
I just started compiling the list yesterday, and there are a lot of places. I'm working on a brand new website, which I lost my patience with it yesterday a little bit. It just got on my nerves. I should have had more. What did they say? Breaks. Can I have your iPad, please? I wish I'd had more breaks because I think my patience would have stretched a little bit further. But putting a website together, and despite me wanting to put together a very, very simple website, it's never quick, even if it's simple or not. And this new website is purely want to catch the show.
There's a reason why it's not working.
I know. I just realized it's not turned on. My power's not turned on here.
You got no power.
Is the power turned off in the bottom there? What the heck? Is this crazy or what? I have
no
light. No, I have no light. No power.
What's on?
How strange. We're taking a turn here. We're going down a whole different path. Is that weird? Oh, I can see. You know how is it? Well, if you got the power plugged in, it just fell out from the back.
Well, here you go. Here's your iPad back.
Good grief. No, it's okay, Jim. I'm going to hang out with yours. Jim's got the new one. He's got the new technology.
It's not new. It's old.
Well, it's not that old. So I have an iPad too. Can you believe that? I still have that thing. It's still trundling along. Well, like I said, we've got a new website in the works. Hopefully we'll have that launched for next week, and it'll just solely be for content of the show. Nothing more. Nothing more. Not any of the other things that we do, because we have a website for that. It will just be, boom, go to VegasRockDogRadio.com and catch the live show or listen to a previous show. Very, very, very simple. Well, Jim, lots to talk about today. And that's going to be my first thing. Well, you know how I mentioned the kitten lady and the little kitten Chloe that she found that was paralyzed. Has my mic not been on that whole time?
No, it's on. You're blasting loud right now. You might want to
I don't think my mic was on.
No, it's on. You might want to clean your ears or something, because my headphones blasting me out now.
Well, I like it that way.
Well,
are you sure that my mic was on?
Your mic's been on the whole time. Otherwise, you wouldn't have heard.
So
anything.
what was that then? What did I just hear then?
You just heard me crank the volume for your headphones because you can't hear right, because you need to clean your ears out.
I couldn't hear, honestly.
That's what you need to
I'm
do.
doing signals to Jim. I can't hear myself through the headphones. Oh, let's get on with this show, Jim. Okay, so the kitten lady, she's the one that saves these teeny tiny kittens, and they come in all kinds of conditions, and they don't have mummies to look after them, and she becomes their mummy, basically. Well, Chloe was one of the kittens that she found, and her vet had said, it's, the kitten's paralyzed in its back legs. So she was not about to just live with that and just go, okay, and accept it. She decided they would go for some treatments, and one of them was acupuncture, and it was the acupuncture with electrodes. And I watched that video, and it was wonderful because that little kitten's leg started to move in its tail. And then this week I saw another video where the kitten was using its knees to crawl like a baby would before they start to walk. And then this was just fantastic. It's becoming the norm. They had a 3D printed set of wheels made for the kitten, customized with a name on it and everything, so that it can aid in her being in the upright position to walk and to start using her legs.
Like a sulky harness.
Huh?
Like two wheels strapped onto her.
4 wheels.
4 wheels.
This was a 4-wheel situation, and because it was 3D printed, the measurements were exact. I have all faith this cat is going to fully recover. And so that's my update today. She's got wheels. She's got, you know, those silicone wristbands? They actually had a name put on them. Well, they're like what's the word? Like as an impression of her name, Chloe, on them, and they were stretched over the wheels. So she's just all pimped out.
You mean like a etch?
Yeah, and they look like a tire. Now they've got them, but I have all faith that she will eventually throw her wheels away and make a full recovery, and that's because they decided to go all out. They believe that life is life, and it was important to do that. There was a comment this week made by someone I followed another little dog here in town who had to go in and have emergency surgery. And yeah, these surgeries are expensive. They just are. And you just, acknowledge it, suck it up, either raise the money or, pay for it or put it on your credit card or do care credit or whatever you need to do. People do it because they're worth it. But there was someone on this post and the dog's come out of this wonderfully. Her name is Daisy, I think it is. She's come out of this wonderfully, this surgery. But someone said, I just don't get it.
What is the surgery?
It was for her heart. You could see her heart beating out of that dog's chest.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, it was very stressful when they took her in for surgery, just wondering, oh, my gosh, is she going to come out of this? And what's the result going to be? Well, she's doing wonderfully well. However, there was someone, and there's always someone, that said, I can't believe you would spend all that money. She's a foster cat, by the way. A foster dog, sorry. Why would you spend all that money when you could spread that amongst a bunch of other animals? I just wrote, life is life. Some people don't get it. Life is life. I don't care whether it's an old dog, a young cat. I don't care. If you love them enough, you'll take care of them and give them the surgeries that they need. And I thought it was just a strange comment. Don't you think that's weird?
A little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to be friends with that kind of person. But the type of friends I have in my circle are people that love animals. And this week I've had 2 friends reach out and say, hey, I'm looking for a little dog to adopt. And I really love Yorkshire Terriers. Both of them said that. Luckily for me, I have a friend that fosters for a rescue, and she always seems to have little cute fluffies. And,
half a dozen here and there.
Well, they belong to her, that half a dozen, but they're all a Yorkshire Terrier type. And so it made me very excited. Oh, yes. And I recommended the places where I think they should go for rescue and told all my rescue friends, tag me if you get cute little Yorkshire Terriers in. So that always makes me happy when people reach out to me and say, where's the best place for me to adopt an animal? And then I tell them, you must tag me once you get them. So that's very, very exciting. Here's a topic, Jim, for you. We've covered this before. We've talked a lot about deaf dogs, and deaf dogs come either, they're born with it, or born with deafness, or partial deafness, or they lose their hearing as they get older. Mm-hmm. And I did read this very good article on Deaf Dog Blog by Catherine J. Henderson, and the title was I Help Dogs Hear. And she has a dog called Brady. She had a dog called Brady, actually, and she realized over time as he got older, he started to act a little bit different. And he wouldn't respond the same way when she'd say, we're going for a walk, and do you want a treat? And what was happening was he was losing his hearing. And the sad thing was, she said he stopped greeting her at the door because he hadn't heard her pull up on the driveway. And so what she would have to do is do something different to get his attention, which we've talked about before with deaf dogs, which is sometimes you have to use touch, of course, signals. And she would say sometimes she would just cook something because it would pique his interest. He would smell something. And she'd have to be very careful approaching him if he hadn't seen her, so as not to startle him. But he was losing his hearing, and obviously that changes the quality of their life and their demeanor. Sometimes they get a little bit insecure because they don't know what's going on when someone comes to pet them and they don't see them. Now, she said at that time she'd very conveniently become licensed as a hearing aid specialist. Her dad was an audiologist and had been for 40 years. And they'd opened this practice in Elizabeth City in North Carolina. And she said this gave her the flexibility to research and really think about how she could help deaf dogs with hearing aids.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's new. That's breaking news.
That's fantastic.
Breaking news. Tick, 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 tick.
Now, of course, she's got access to some wonderful resources. and obviously her dad's experience. And what she's been able to do is repurpose human hearing aids to custom fit in almost any dog's ear, no matter how big or small.
So at least they get the human spectrum of hearing. I mean, dogs have that 100 times better hearing than we do when they're fine, but at least they'll hear your voice.
Yes, what she's done at this point is she's fit 7 dogs with hearing aids, and she did indeed fit her own dog Brady. He did very sadly pass away, but she said she thanked him for helping her find her purpose in life. And she said she's had successes and even more failures, as with anything like that. You're dealing with a dog, not someone you can tell them exactly what you're going to be doing next. So there are some challenges there, and of course with fit and that kind of thing. And she says she learned so much from the successes and the failures so that she can really start to perfect this. Now, she says she's not an audiologist and she's not a veterinarian. And she's not a scientist, but she says, I am an avid animal lover and an observant person. And of course, she's got her dad's experience to fall back on as well. She puts deaf dogs into 2 groups, just as I mentioned earlier, dogs who have hearing loss, which is congenital deafness, which are typically those white dogs. They're called piebald, they're called Mills or double Mills, and they're often referred to these dogs as white dogs. We did a show on this, actually, covering how these dogs are born deaf.
Well, Bernard let us.
Yeah.
We kind of got introduced to that with Bernard
We did.
Chavez.
And with Christina Lee from Deaf Dogs Rock. You can check out their website. If you do have a deaf dog, or you have a friend who's got a deaf dog and they don't know what to do, or they're losing their hearing, go to deafdogsrock.com. Oh, a resource beyond the premier advocacy group for deaf dogs in the United States. You'll get tons of information and support, which is very important. And there are dogs that, of course, are losing their hearing due to age, noise exposure, certain medications, and some other medical issues. So it's not just always an age thing. And she does note that any breed or color of dog can lose their hearing, but some breeds and colors are more susceptible than others. And both groups of these dogs, they contain candidates that are good for hearing aids. But not all dogs with hearing loss will benefit from hearing aids. So she's determined a that's a hard word to say, candidacy for hearing aids by trial and error.
You need word help today.
I do, and that's how most things improve, is through trial and error. And she interviews the owners. She does some very simple tests that give her an idea of how much amplification the dogs need. Now, you'll be able to talk about this, Jim. Typically, audiologists, they perform the BAER test, which is the brainstem auditory evoked response on dogs. This is the same test that audiologists perform on young children, and it gives a more quantitative result. The testing is ideal. However, it's very, very, very expensive. When you had to have, Jim had custom in-ear monitors for when he plays on stage made. Did you have to have a hearing test first?
Oh, but I've had many hearing tests in my life. At various levels of comprehensiveness, and with the pitch and volume and the random tones, and you're in the booth with the neutral booth with the headphones, and it's really eerie because you start hearing all of your body sounds. It's so sterile. And then I remember when I was a kid, because I had a lot of hearing problems as a kid, so I was at the ear doctor a lot. There's that other test they do where they actually take a tuning fork. They strike it and they stick it on the bone behind your ear.
I've had that one.
You don't just hear through your ear hole in your eardrum, but you hear through your bones.
Yeah.
And that's interesting too.
So what Jim does is he has these custom in-ear monitors so that they don't have to have a monitor on stage, but he can actually hear it in his own ears. So you didn't have to have a hearing test, although you do have perfect hearing, correct?
It's pretty good, my hearing. Despite a childhood of ear problems. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's incredible, really, to think about that. Equipment, of course, costs tens of thousands of dollars, which is this test we're talking about. And her goal is to be able to have this test, this equipment, and test on dogs and other animals. And her goal again is to have a clinic and a network of providers around the country. I see that being a very, very big need because it does improve the quality of their life if they're a good candidate. The process of fitting a dog with hearing aids is very similar to fitting a human. So what process did you go through for your in-ear monitors?
They inject your ear with this, when you've had molds of your teeth made, that gooey material.
Oh, I did know the name of that. What was it called?
Basically, they just take that and stick it in your ear, let it harden, and then pull it out and then make molds from it.
And that's exactly how they do it for the dog. So it's a custom mold of the ear canal made by injecting a material, usually a silicone-based. Why do I not remember the name of this? Because I worked with it. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember the name of this product. Anyway, it'll come to me. And then they capture the exact size and shape and reproduce the most comfortable and secure hearing aid. How were yours? Were you amazed at the fit when you had your in-ears and you put them in?
Yeah, and they're several years old now, and so they start shrinking.
Oh, they do.
The fit changes, so I'm going to be due probably by the end of this year for another pair, just because your ear changes and then the material itself changes. It dries out over time and you don't get the perfect fit anymore.
Well, I would think out here, especially since we're such a dry climate, that it probably would speed up that drying out process, I'm sure. Shrivel it up. Now, of course, some dogs are going to tolerate having an impression done, and they're good, and they'll lay down and be great. Like Thornton, she would be fantastic. Mr. Twix would not be. So sometimes they'll give a light sedation to create these impressions. And then they're sent out to the hearing aid manufacturer, and they're made into custom hearing aids. So what's the next step? Let me tell you what the next step is. It's to program the hearing aids to the desired settings. Once they're programmed, you put them on the dog, and this part takes a little bit of patience, she said, and certainly some practice. Most dogs are very adaptable and resilient in new situations. She said in this article, us humans could learn a lot from them. Yeah, I agree. But they will still need a period of time to accept, get used to them. And she just said, wearing them as much as they possibly can is what gets them used to it. Sometimes they'll try and paw at them and try and get them out of their ears. But eventually they realize, they're not coming out. And then that's when they settle down and start to respond to the sounds that they haven't heard in a very, very long time or haven't heard that well. And to see that reaction is just incredible. And she fit her other dog, Birdie, with them. And once they were in and her sister spoke to the dog just responded immediately with waggy tail, and just said it was just a wonderful feeling because they're improving the quality of their lives. And she said, her biggest success has been with senior dogs who have lost their hearing, most likely due to age. And so I said, she says, well, that begs the question, what about these white dogs then that we've talked about earlier, the ones that are born with deafness? And she has a dog of her own called Zoe, and Zoe has hearing aids. They're made by Siemens hearing instruments. Who are yours made by?
West Tone.
Oh, yeah, they're good, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Again, they're a very reputable hearing aid manufacturer in the world. And she says she's not been able to figure out the perfect fit for her, but she says she's just not giving up. And she'll continue this work. I just think it's great. And her last quote is, if there's one thing I've learned on my quest to help dogs hear, I've learned that if there is a will, there is a way, and I refuse to believe that anything is impossible. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
I love cleaning the litter box, said no one ever. Luckily, there's World's Best Cat Litter, the litter that promises less mess with less litter. Only World's Best Cat Litter uses the concentrated power of corn to quickly trap odors in tight clumps. And quick clumping means you never have to chisel or scrape the box. Less cleanup with less wasted litter? That's a litter bit amazing. Save $2 on World's Best Cat Litter. Visit www.saveonworldsbest.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome back, everyone. So that was deaf dogs we talked about, and the possibility of hearing aids being something that will be available for people as more research goes into it and perfecting the technique of getting the ear molds done. I think it's very, very exciting times. And we'll, of course, put any links that we find that we talk about on the show will go up on Facebook. If you are listening on the podcast, you'll see those links in the show notes. I'm out of breath.
Why?
I had to run to the bathroom on a commercial break. I don't think I've ever done that. Have I ever done that?
No, I don't. I think that's a first.
Never have I done that.
And why should you be out of breath by going 20 feet down the hallway?
Because you were shouting, hurry up.
I was not.
Because I said, if I don't come back, Jim, you have to speak on the mic.
I wasn't shouting.
Well, I have some tips for you. Well, it's not even a tip. It is a tip. It is a tip. But this is really a safety issue when it comes to the types of leashes that you use for your pets. And one of those is the retractable leash. We used to use them way back when, didn't we, Jim?
Yeah, it was one way of kind of having your dog's leash, but letting them be free to explore when you're out in the park.
Until we found out.
Until I got some leg burn.
Until you experience the full scope of a retractable leash. So here are some reasons why you should not use a retractable leash. And if you don't know what that is, and if you're listening in from England, it's a lead. We call it a lead. Did you know that, Jim? A lead and collar?
We don't call them that
Here's
here.
a leash and collar. Mm-hmm. It's a very bulky, actually, handle with a spring-loaded device housed inside this big, giant plastic handle of a thing. And it's designed to fit in your hand comfortably. And it does. I will give it that. That's probably its only plus, is the fact that you can hold it comfortably. And there's a button, and the button controls how much of the cord extends out and how much of the cord comes in. They do give this, like Jim said, a sense of freedom for your dogs to explore, but some of these cords go up to 26 feet long. And so the length of these, that's long. That is really, really long. And that means a situation can turn rather dangerous very, very quickly. A dog on a retractable leash is often able to run into the middle of the street. That was one of those concerns. I preferred it when we only used them, as I say, we no longer use them, but say we were out at, say, Lake Mead. It's all open nature, no traffic, no roads, nothing like that.
Nothing like getting that leg burn, though.
Oh, still though, they can get into all kinds of danger in nature. Danger nature. That's a song, that. So they can run into the street, or they can make uninvited contact with other dogs and people, and you don't have the level of control that you would have with a normal lead or leash. So control is a big thing. How do I control my dog if there's a situation? If a dog runs up to us and they're not leashed, and my dog is leashed, but they are 26 feet away from me, how are you going to get them back and get control of your situation?
And, like some people have dogs that are just amazing off leash, that have incredible recall and attention. And, we're not lucky enough. We have dogs that are very reactive sometimes, so we need to keep them on a leash to keep them under control. But when a dog that's off a leash comes near us, our dogs feel like they're at a disadvantage, like they're tethered. And they get more reactive. They do. It's terrible. And then you only have a certain degree of control because you can't control a dog that's not on a leash, that's trying to, attack your dogs, or it just can get crazy. Even if it's just a friendly interaction, those cords are so thin that your legs get wrapped around them, and you got a burn. Leg burn.
You got leg burn. It hurts, and it scars as well. And the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because there's a story in the news, this exact same thing, but a little girl had the cord go right across her neck. And that could have been so much worse. It could have been fatal, seriously, depending on how big the dog was. I think the story was that they were just walking in the park, and the dog had run across the path of them and right into her neck. Yeah, isn't that horrible?
Can't even imagine.
So the dangers are both for your dogs and for yourself as well. So if you can't get that control. Sometimes you can't see the actual cord itself. You get tangled up like Jim did. He got a burn. What do? You try and grab it so it's not going to wrap around your legs. And what do you end up doing? You burn your hands, you cut your fingers. Oh, it's a living nightmare. So there are a risk of injury all around, cuts, burns. You can get pulled over. And so if you think about this, what happens when you run out of leash? Your dog gets yanked, you get yanked. And then often the cord breaks. Now you've got a dog on the loose. It causes neck injuries, injuries to the trachea, spinal injuries. You think, run. Oh, I've just run out of cord. Yank both you and the dog on the opposite end. Not a good situation, is it? And here's another one. I'm always panicked when I see dogs running towards us. And I go, is that dog on the leash? Is that dog on the leash? Because they look too far away. And you can't see. They're either not on a leash or they're on a retractable and you can't see the cord. It looks invisible. That's a panic in itself. But it will cause your dogs to react as well. If they've got, 26 feet to run towards your dogs, you're going to get a reaction. That cord sticks as well, doesn't it, Jim?
Yeah.
It will stick. You're pressing your button to try and retract it. Nothing is happening and you're losing control with every second as it goes by. We've had this terrible, terrible experience ourselves, so we no longer use them. They're bulky. And what happens when the dog runs and you accidentally let go of the handle?
It's like a big, clumpy, heavy thing that could bounce and hurt somebody.
And then your dogs get frightened because something's loud behind them and they keep running and it's still following them, which is the big clunky handle. Now you've got a dog on the run that's going to keep running because they don't know that that's the handle that's clunking behind them and frightening them to death. So not a lot of good points for a retractable leash when you look at it from a safety standpoint.
You're better off
a control standpoint.
Really having a well-trained dog that has good recall.
Well, that's
leaving it off leash.
That's you don't want them off leash because you have the laws, Jim.
Yeah,
you
but
can't break the laws.
But when you're in places where the laws don't apply and you're out in open land and your dog is running in fields, we have family members in England that go up to the fields and the dogs run free.
That's a whole different story.
When you go places where you can be off leash, you need a dog that has good recall.
And here's another problem it causes for you. If you have a dog who's very good on a leash and then all of a sudden you adopt a retractable or you use both, you're going to start teaching your dog how to pull. Because they do pull on those things. They run for 26 feet and then they just keep pulling and the cord has run out. And if you've got a dog that's great at walking on a leash calmly, then you're going to really confuse your dog and you'll probably get frustrated. So stick with a nice, simple leash lead. In fact, we need to get shorter ones. Ours are 6 feet and I don't like a 6-foot leash. I do not like that.
I think for where we live, 5 would be good.
Yeah, I do. I much prefer a shorter leash.
I think 5 feet would be good for our
because a 6-foot leash, I always wrap it around my hand. But people
I have to watch out. Hey, my dogs like to go for runs, and I don't know when they're going to stop because they smell something, and I'm either going to run right into them or I'm going to fall over. So I think for me when I go out with them, 5 would be better than 6. 6 is a little long, but 6 sometimes is just right because if we're in a little stride and they smell something and they stop and turn tail, they could be full stride and stop. I can't.
Yes, I like a short leash, but I think that's because I'm short. I just like to make sure I've got control over them. And right now we seem to have a lot of rabbits out and about, so there's definitely a lot more for my dogs to react to when they're out on their walks. And we've just got really hot, by the way. Our temperatures are really, really high, so we're not doing too much of that, that's for sure. And just on a whole other, I guess, a tip mode, leave your dogs at home. Don't take them with you in the car. It's too hot just to put them in the car and wait for the car to cool down. It is just too much in these summer temperatures. Don't take them with you. Leave them at home. They'd much prefer to watch Netflix and lay on the couch in the air conditioning. I don't think I've never known any dog say, "Yeah, take me in that boiling hot car and leave me while you go and run your errands." My dogs definitely would never go for that. Well, Jim, let's take another quick break. We're going to talk about the alpha myth. the alpha dog myth. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand, only from Pet Life Radio.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome back, everyone. You listen to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the queen of rock and roll dogs. Jim, tell everyone how they can listen to the show if they're just listening in for the first time.
You can go to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spoke. You can go to VegasRockDogRadio.com, and it will link you over to any one of the myriad of formats that the show is housed on.
Or what about iTunes?
I said iTunes.
Oh, you did?
That was the first thing I said.
iTunes
Testing me again.
iTunes is the main one. iTunes is the main one because it's an app that most people have, which is great. Okay, let's talk about alpha dog, the myth of the alpha dog. People are still talking about it. Someone talked to me about it this week, and I said, you do know that's a myth, don't you? Based on some research, but some research that then was invalid because some other research was done. Have you heard of Schenkel's classic wolf behavior study?
No, I don't know about that one.
So this is where the study... Schenkel, yeah.
Remember Robbie Schenkel?
No.
Sax player friend of mine in Nashville.
Oh, I do?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's a good guy. Good sax player.
Jim's a sax player, by the way. Schenkel. So he did this study on classic wolf behavior, and it was done in 1947. And it was expressions studies on wolves. This is a study that gave rise to the now outmoded notion of alpha wolves. That concept was based on the old idea that wolves fight within a pack to gain dominance, and that the winner is the alpha wolf. Today, we understand that most wolf packs consist of a pair of adults called parents or breeders, not alphas. And then, of course, there's their offspring. Rudolf Schenkel was the first to come up with this alpha theory. Now remember, this was 1947. And David Meach also studied wolves in captivity and also came up with this alpha theory until David Meach studied wolves in the wild. And the hierarchy is 2 parents and their young. And he retracted the alpha theory due to the research that dogs are social animals, and it's up to you to guide them and correct them, and you don't have to use force or dominance. Now, Dave Meach is a wildlife research biologist who has studied large carnivores, especially wolves, and their prey. So there was a difference with them in captivity and a difference with them in the wild. So they retracted that, but people have stuck with this theory, and it does not apply. It does not apply. Now, they say, oh, you can be dominant with your dogs, but they're going to be dreadfully scared of you. And because they're going to obey out of fear. I mean, they're going to obey you out of fear.
Is that what you do with me?
No. But what kind of a relationship is that? It's not It's not how you bond. It's not how you understand, because you'll never see it from their perspective. Whatever you think that you're the dominant one and you're right, and I'm going to be over you. It's an awful relationship, and I think the more that we see dogs from their perspective, the better we'll communicate. This week, I met with my friend who's an animal communicator, Alicia Halloran of Healing Habitat. We talked very much about how we communicate, the ways that we communicate, and how much better it is when your pets understand you and you understand your pets. It's not just about your pet understanding you. You can't say, hey, okay, you're a dog, now you understand English. Or whatever language it is. It's a two-way street. And it's understanding when they do this means that, and how you can communicate better. And trust me, we talked about the little things that our dogs do, and you go, oh my gosh, they understand. I understand them. This is wonderful. It makes you very, very happy. Your bond is stronger. And you don't need dominance. You just don't. I loved the fact that I found this research that went so far back, and you can read all of it online. It is on there in PDF format, Jim.
I love PDFs.
You do love PDFs?
I love a PDF. But there's nothing like leafing through a magazine or a book, though. There's something that, like, no matter what, you like to just have a book or a magazine.
I can't tell you the last time I bought a magazine. The trouble is you can read them too fast. Well, especially the junky ones. You can read them far too fast. And I can't tell you the last time I picked up a book. I'll be honest with you. But I do read a lot online, Jim, because I like to do my research, as you know.
I know.
Yeah. Well, a little bit more of research that I did this week is, if you are listening in from England, I feel your pain. You're going through a general election. And everybody deciding who they want to vote for. Well, there are many, many parties in Britain. And one of Britain's smallest parties is the Animal Welfare Party. Did you know that we had that?
Good grief. You have a party for everything there.
We do. We have the Green Party, which is all about the environment. And then we've got this one, which is the Animal Welfare
We
Party.
just have two parties.
I know. No, you do have other parties. But
yeah, but two that count.
Yeah, no, we have plenty. We have plenty. So I did find this information about the Animal Welfare Party. They know they're small. They know they're probably not going to get voted in. However, it does allow them to get their message out and connect with audiences in a way that they may have not been able to previously. So there's a great advantage to that. And they have a vision, and I really do like their vision. The vision of the Animal Welfare Party's vision is to be of a fairer, more equitable and sustainable society for all. And their policies include improving human health, saving National Health Service funds, protecting the environment, and global food security by promoting healthy plant-based diets. So this is more than animal, but is related to animals.
I'm okay with it so far.
Yeah, phasing out farming practices and systems with poor welfare consequences for animals. Clear labeling of all products with information which allows consumers to make informed choices in line with their own principles on the environment, health, animal welfare, and the social circumstances in which a product is produced. Oh, I'm a big proponent for that. I can't stand all this misleading labeling or stuff that's just omitted or words you don't understand. It's terrible. It makes it very difficult to select the right foods, supplements. Oh, it makes me crazy. I'm all for that. They're also in support of phasing out animal experimentation with binding targets for reduction combined with proper funding and real support for alternatives and increasing penalties for those convicted of animal abuse. They're for redirecting farming subsidies away from livestock and fisheries farming and into plant-based agriculture. Ending live animal export and reducing journey times for animals travelling to slaughter within the UK. This is detailed. Ending all slaughter without prior stunning, as in stunning the animal. Independently monitored CCTV for all slaughterhouses. That's an absolute must because the abuses are just, I can't even. An end to breed-specific legislation, yeah, they're not there yet, which are the puppy farms, and the sale of animals online and in retail stores in the exotic pet trade. They're actually doing very well with that. They were in Parliament with that one. And
about the exotic animals?
About puppy farms, buying animals online, getting them from a pet store. They did very, very well. And in 2017, their general election manifesto is going to be released shortly, it said. And they have them ready there for you to download. They have, like I say, they're going to want to increase penalties for those convicted of animal abuse. I think they did one recently. I think they want to increase it to 5 years. I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. They want to extend that to 5 years minimum. And I think that's good.
They still have debtor's prison in Britain.
I don't know. You can research it.
There were lots of reasons to go to jail in England back in the day.
Yeah,
they jailed everybody.
We lob you in jail. Get in there. Learn a lesson. They, of course, want to end the badger cull and oppose any repeal of the fox hunting ban. That's a big topic right now.
Well, badgers, remember. We know who is in charge of the
Brian May?
badger advocacy. Yeah,
Brian May of Queen. Brian May of Queen is the biggest badger.
Top badger advocate.
He's the top one. And here's the thing, Theresa May wants to put the fox hunting ban back onto the ballot for people to decide. Now, the ban's already in place, but she still wants people to now to kind of redecide. It's exhausting. We want to just keep the ban in place. She wants to strengthen companion animal welfare with an end to breed-specific legislation, the sale of animals online, like I said, retail stores and exotic pet trade, phase out those farming practices that we talked about, and animal testing. I think it's great. I really, really like their manifesto. So, back to the actual anti-fox hunting. So that's the Animal Welfare Party in Britain. There are other there is one here, and I can't find the name of it. They keep saying there's one here, and I can't find the name of it, but there are a few. There's one in Canada, a couple in the South American countries, and
political parties for animals.
Yeah, political parties for animals.
I've never heard of them here.
But like she said, it's a great way to expose people to their party and their work. Wonderful. Love it. Absolutely love it. Talking about the fox hunting, anti-fox hunting campaigners went on a massive march, and the news did not carry it in London. It was huge. And Theresa May wants to put it on the ballot, and everybody said just let it stay as it is. It's inhumane to allow dogs to rip and terrify a fox into pieces. It's not right. And she wants a free vote on repealing the ban. So not a lot of happy people when it comes to that. But they marched down on Downing Street. It was huge. And I can't believe they didn't cover it on the news. They barely covered it. And there was an estimated 2,000 campaigners that marched on Oxford Circus to number 10. And they singled out Mrs. May on placards, and they were attacking her as our Prime Minister. And their chants were no excuse for animal abuse. Cull the Tories. Keep the ban was one of their chants. I have a hard time believing that more people would want a fox to be killed than those that prefer not to. I find that would be scary. That would be very, very, very scary. This action was organised by an alliance of anti-hunt campaign groups after Mrs. May said she supported the outlawed activity and would renew a Tory election pledge to revisit the controversial subject. Good grief. There's just no good reason to lift that ban. There is no good reason. Okay. So that's what was going on there. And we'll keep you up to date on these. Our elections take a very, very short period of time in England. I wish they would adopt it here. It was painful. Each year's painful. It's never ending. It's like never-ending campaigning.
Didn't we just have an election? Why do we have another one coming up?
It honestly,
in the springtime, in the fall time, every 2 years, every 4 years.
It honestly feels like that. And the campaigning starts so early. It's, stop. It's very, very short in England. I want to say I'm not going to say, but I think it's less than 3 months. I'm sure of it. It feels like it's not even that. But, oh, goodness me. Well, my last piece of news, this is a little out there. Florida dog trainer had his license revoked because his greyhounds tested for cocaine. Yes, I said cocaine. Can you believe that?
What the heck?
It's something else, isn't it? And so it began earlier this year where a greyhound named Flying Tidal Wave finished a race and was promptly tested after Oh, this is a show we have to do anyway on greyhounds. We have to. The urine sample revealed the dog had cocaine in its bloodstream, and within 2 weeks, 2 weeks, other dogs belonging to this trainer, Malcolm McAllister, tested positive as well. According to the Tampa Bay Times, McAllister's license has been revoked, and he is a veteran dog trainer. Oh, yeah, I bet he's a trainer, all right, who began his career in 1980. Yeah, dear me. This is the second time the division of Pari-Mutual Racing has taken action on McAllister's license. I bet the first was for not properly displaying his racing license. McAllister denies he personally gave the dogs cocaine. Where'd they get it from then?
Well, you said it like
cocaine, and that's how I say it.
Like Dewey Cox.
Who's that?
Remember the movie with Will Ferrell?
No.
What? Give me some of that cocaine.
Oh,
how's that cocaine make you feel? Makes you feel real good. That's right from the movie.
I didn't know that.
Don't you remember that scene?
No, I don't. We'll have to watch it.
Tim Meadows.
Which film again?
Dewey Cox.
Oh, I don't think I've seen it.
Walk Hard was the name of the movie.
But I do love Will Ferrell beyond.
Or it wasn't Will Ferrell. It was the other guy. Well, yeah, it was Tim Meadows, and the other guy that played Dewey Cox was the guy that was opposite Will Ferrell in those movies.
Oh gosh, this is all we're going down a maze here.
Cocaine.
Anyway, McAllister denies he personally gave the dogs cocaine. He told the Tampa Bay Times that one of these undesirables had to have either dropped or administered the campaign. The campaign. I can't speak for cocaine.
The campaign for cocaine.
Oh my gosh! One of these undesirables had to have either dropped or administered the cocaine, implying that one of his helpers is responsible for this. Oh. Yeah, we're going to do a show on greyhound racing and horse racing as well. It's a terrible, archaic, cruel sport, and from what I can gather, it's very big. It's very big in Australia. I think they're actually shipping out dogs to China to do this. Do you know what I saw this week? And you're going to think that I am off my head. But in China, they are racing dogs with cheetahs. I kid you not.
You mean the cheetahs are chasing the dogs?
Yes, on a track. I could not believe my eyes.
Well, that's a no-brainer. The cheetah's going to win, but then it's going to tear the dog up.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck?
And they go, oh, it's just a natural thing. They're doing their natural thing.
This is the Roman Colosseum all over again.
It is. It's exactly what I thought. When I saw that, I thought that exact same thing. This is barbaric. We're going backwards. This is just unbelievable. So, of course, they use the excuse, well, this is, their natural instincts. Well, yeah, it is, but it's not natural to be on a racetrack. It's just not. And I don't ever remember greyhounds and cheetahs being together in the wilderness. I don't ever remember that. And it's terrible. It is terrible. You think you've seen it all, and then I see something else that's crazy, and then
people are morbid.
And then they are, and then we do a show on it so we can help people understand what's going on so they don't attend greyhound racing and horse racing. I know the horse racing can seem very glamorous because everybody likes to dress up, put their big hats on and stuff. But if they knew what's going on behind the scenes, and as you know, so many of those horses get injured and die on that track, and for what? I mean, really, it's for money. It's dreadful, and I would never want to be a part of anything like that. So don't ever think of inviting me to what's that big race you do here, the Derby?
That's not the Derby, it's the Derby.
Kentucky. So then hello?
It's the Derby.
We call it the Derby, the Kentucky Derby.
Derby.
If you ever go to England, you don't go to Derby, you're going to Derby. Anyway, don't invite me. Yeah, I love to wear a big hat and a beautiful dress, but no, you won't see me at those events. But we will do a show on that, and we'll spread the word. And that's why I love the type of show that we do, because we like to make sure that we're right on the pulse of what's happening in the animal world, to bring you news, good news, sometimes bad news, like I said. But we're
advocates.
We are. We bring it an awareness, and like to bring you the latest research and great topics and good stories, very good stories.
I love how people that don't care for animals call animal advocates animal activists or animal extremists.
Yeah, they do. I don't know. It's a funny thing. I do see people attack others who are purely caring about animals, almost like it's a bad thing. It's the strangest mentality I think I've ever come across. I'm like, wow, so you think caring about animals is a bad thing? Wow, this is just weird to me. But there's lots going on. I said there's lots going on in the news, good, bad, ugly. Great news like the hearing aids for dogs. I think that could be something that we see, explode over the years as to be something that's a normal device that you could get for your dogs if they're a good candidate. Don't you think, Jim?
Yes.
Were you paying attention?
Slightly that time.
But yeah, it's great to come across these stories and people doing wonderful things out of a passion of animals. Now, as I say, you can get all these links on our Facebook page. I'll put them up just after the show, but you will find them in the show notes on the podcast itself if you want to follow these stories and these wonderful people. I'm trying to think what else has been going on in the news that's been... there's been some nice stuff. I mean, really nice stuff like the kitten getting its wheels and, the hearing aids for the dogs. What other good news have you heard recently, Jim?
I haven't paid attention to the news this week. I actually saw my first 2 movies in months and months and months this week.
When was that?
When I watched SEAL Team 6 and BFG.
Oh, we did watch that. You see, now, the only thing I didn't like about the movie is the fact that they use the dogs. I've expressed this before. I don't like dogs that are put into danger. I know they're trained, but a lot of them die and get injured, come back with PTSD, hearing loss. That's a big one. They come back with hearing loss, and I have a hard I do have a hard time with that. Dogs, for therapy dogs that improve people's lives, they have a great bond with the people that they're with. Not so they don't have a bond with their trainers when they go into the military, but I don't like the idea of a dog going in first. And
well, that's war, and we don't have a cat in the fight on that one.
What do you mean?
Or a dog in the fight.
What do you mean?
It's war, and there's a whole different set of priorities and reasons why people do things.
I know they're invaluable. I'm not saying that. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. It's a tough one. It's a very hard one, that one. But animals clearly play a very, very big important part in our world and aid people in so many ways that we should honor them just a little bit more. Not just dogs, but all kinds of animals. There's a therapy rat. His name is Everett.
That's great.
I think you've met Everett. No, you haven't met him. No, he's fairly new. But animals, all kinds of animals, can help us in many, many ways. But yeah, he's a therapy rat.
You need a therapy rat.
I don't. I've got 2. I've got 2 of them. They're napping at the moment. They're just relaxing. It's the weekend. It's what they do. They have a very charmed life. When I come back in my next life, I'm coming back as my dogs because they have a really fantastic life. And so do you, Mr. Jim. And on that note, we are at the end of the show.
Yep.
Remember, if you've liked the show, and especially if you're listening to it on a podcast, you have the ability to share the show with your friends on social media, and we always appreciate a direct share to your friends and family, especially those that really, really, really love animals. And remember, you can always help an animal in need, either rescue, adopt, donate, volunteer, or share their information. And you can rescue your next family member. We always recommend that. Replace the word shop with adopt, and be kind to all animals. Thank you, Jim, for being my guest host today.
You're welcome very much.
And today you've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, where it's all about pets, people, and pop culture. I'm your host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs. And always kiss your pets good morning and good night. And I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Visit Vegas Rock Dog Radio for more information. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And subscribe on iTunes and iHeartRadio. And remember, give your fur babies a big kiss from me, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs. You must not rely on the information in this broadcast from our hosts as an alternative to medical advice from your veterinarian. If you have any specific questions about a medical matter regarding your pets, you should consult your veterinarian or specialist.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.